Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. I just wanted to make a quick video because of the number of questions that I've received relating to this subject. And that's obviously the subject of the salat being performed at home. First and foremost, it is permissible to do that at home. It is reported in a hadith of Bukhari that Anas bin Malik radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he performed the Salatul Eid at home. I won't go into too much detail of that, but it is supported by the Sharia that a person can perform the Salatul Eid at home. The problem is that because there are additional things that we perform in the Eid prayer that most people are not aware of, it's important to get some kind of guidance as to what the procedure should be according to all the four madhabs. So I'm going to go through each one, starting with Hanafi fiqh. The majority of people from India, Pakistan and Turkey, they are practitioners of Hanafi fiqh, meaning the madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. So the way to do it according to the Hanafi fiqh is that the Imam, he starts the prayer. And this is actually common through all of the madhahib. You start the prayer as normal, and then you do the dua of istiftah, which is Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik wa tabarak asmuka, or there's another dua, Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayna khatayaya kama ba'adta bayna al-mashriqi wal-maghrib, whichever one you usually do. So you start the prayer with this. This was the first takbir in which you enter the salat with. This is, you can say, the normal takbir, which is known as takbiratul ihram. Following that, you then the Imam raises his hands, says Allahu Akbar, and let's go. He says Allahu Akbar again, and then he lets go. And then he raises his hands and says Allahu Akbar again up to his ears, and he then folds his arms, and then he continues the salat as normal until the end of the second rak'ah. Until the end of the second rak'ah, he continues the salat as normal. At the end of the second rak'ah, before going into ruku', he performs 3 more takbirs. Allahu Akbar, raise his hand, let's go. Allahu Akbar, raises his hands, and let's go. Allahu Akbar, raises his hands, and let's go. And now the 4th takbir, he goes into ruku', and then he completes the salat as normal. So this was according to the Hanafi fiqh. There are recommendations to make some kind of tasbih between the takbirs, but we don't want to make it too complicated. Those are recommended, and the salat will not be invalid if you don't do that. And in most cases during the Eid prayer, nobody does it anyway because it would lengthen the salat quite a lot. So therefore, we would just do the takbir without doing any kind of dhikr in between. So again, to recap, Hanafi fiqh, you start the salat as normal. Before reciting Fatiha, make 3 takbirs and you let the hands go each time. At the 3rd time you fold, continue the salat as normal, and then at the end of the second rak'ah, before going to ruku', you do 3 takbirs again, Allahu Akbar, raising your hands and letting go. And then at the 4th takbir, which is now the normal takbir of the ruku', you make the ruku' and you continue and you finish the salat. Okay, so this was according to the Hanafi fiqh. The second madhab that I want to talk about is Shafi'i and Hanbali fiqh, which is basically they have the same opinion as to how the salat is to be done. They do it similarly. And just like in Hanafi fiqh, they start the salat and so fold their hands and do the dua of istiftah, which is the dua which is at the beginning of the salat, Subhanaka Allahumma, or Allahumma ba'id bayni wa bayna khatayaya, until the end. And then after that, the Imam raises his hands and says 7 takbirs, and each time he folds his hands. Unlike the Hanafi madhab, where the hands were let go, in the Shafi and Hanbali fiqh, the hands are folded each time. Okay, so 7 additional takbir. So a total of 8 takbirs basically. You do the takbiratul ihram and then 7 after that. Okay, and so you continue 7, and each time you do it, like I said, you fold your hands and on your chest. And you continue the salat after doing 7 takbirs. Surah Al-Fatiha is done and the surah is done, and you continue until you come up and stand up for the second rak'ah. When you stand up for the second rak'ah, before the Fatiha, 5 takbirs. Allahu Akbar, fold your hands. Allahu Akbar, fold your hands. Do that 5 times. After doing it 5 times, then you start the Fatiha and you continue as normal, and then you finish the salat. So this was the Hanbali and Shafi fiqh. Finally, the Maliki fiqh. The Maliki fiqh, basically, they do it exactly the same as, well, not exactly the same, cut that. It's not exactly the same. There are differences between Maliki fiqh and the others, and quite substantial. In Maliki fiqh, you start the salat as normal and you do the dua of the beginning of the salat. And here you do, Maliki fiqh, you do 6 takbirs. The beginning takbir, and then after that 6 takbirs. So a total of 7 takbirs. And the difference in Maliki fiqh in comparison to the others is that in Maliki fiqh you do not raise your hands at all. You just say the takbir. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar 6 times. And again, the recommended thing between the takbirs is to make some kind of tasbih and so on. But again, it's recommended, and even without that, the salat is going to be valid. So the thing with Maliki fiqh is that the hands are not raised, and obviously there's an issue in Maliki fiqh. There are 2 opinions as to whether the hands are folded in any case, in any salat. The issue of sadl, which is a very famous disputed opinion amongst the Malikis, whether the sadl or the letting go of the hands is done or not. We won't go into that right now. But again, with the first takbiratul ihram is 1, and then after that you do 6 takbirs without raising your hands. You continue the salat until the beginning of the second rak'ah, and at the beginning of the second rak'ah you do 5 more takbirs, again without raising the hands. 5 takbirs. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. And then you continue the salat as normal and complete it as normal. Now after the salat is done, the khutbah should be done also. And again, for the lay person, just a few words of wisdom, a few ayat being recited, a few hadith being quoted. That's really sufficient for the khutbah to be done. I hope this video was beneficial for you and you learned from it. We are living in extraordinary circumstances, and basically each one of us has had to do crash courses in becoming an imam very quickly, and this is one of those instances where we need to kind of polish up on how to do the Salatul Eid. I hope inshallah it's been beneficial. Jazakumullahu khairan for listening. Assalamu alaikum.